is coming to Kryn. The Dragon Queen has returned. War hasn't come to Kryn. It's already here.
Hello everyone and welcome to Dragonlance, Shadow of the Dragon Queen here on Dork Tales. If this is your first time tuning in, pleasure to meet you. I'm Kelly. I'm your dungeon master for this adventure. I use he and him, and I am so excited to be here because I have been a fan of Dragonlance since I was, 10, 11 years old. And I know a bunch of us, I picked some of the best players and most passionate Dragonlancers that I could find, as well as some other nerds that just seem to fit. Welcome. So this is going to be our session 0. Today we are going to be building the characters, or at least talking about the characters we built, making some connections, explaining the way the campaign is going to work for you. If this is something that you are not interested in, go ahead, skip to episode 1. It's going to be out in a week, Wednesday nights on Twitch and Friday nights on YouTube. Podcasts will be coming eventually, but I'm going to figure out the schedule for that in a little bit. We're going to go around and introduce ourselves in a second, but first I just want to say, welcome, and what is Dork Tales? So, if this is your first time tuning in, Dork Tales is an actual play tabletop RPG channel that runs out of the Pacific Northwest of Canada, kind of just above Seattle and nearish to Vancouver, but not quite. We're a bunch of lifetime nerds and dorks who get together to play role-playing games. Some of us are professional performers, writers, and the rest are just super dorky. And it's really good to be able to play these games with people we love. So if you're joining us, come. It's going to be a great experience. And if you don't know what Dragonlance is it's a long-form story that basically revolutionized what fantasy modules could be. So modules being pre-made adventures for your Dungeons and Dragons games. These games were very rote, very mission-based before Dragonlance, and then when Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman came out with their first book and their first modules, it completely changed the landscape and had a profound impact on both role players and on readers. And if you had to sum it up real quick, it is it's D&D Star Wars. Like, it is the Star Wars of D&D. Like the old trilogy. It's high fantasy, it's epic. And hell, this game, Shadow of the Dragon Queen, even has their settings version of Darth Vader, Lord Soth. And with that little minor spoiler, we are going to be talking about spoilers, at least in so much as you would need to set up your characters and to go into the plot. I'm not going to go into anything else because I don't want my players to be spoiled. So if you've read the book, please don't post it in the chat. Don't post it on our Discord so they don't have to read it and that they can enjoy the module. I assume that you guys know there are going to be lances and dragons.
Wait, what?
Lances?
Hey,
Wait.
you said no spoilers.
Okay, that's fair.
Yes.
I thought we said
sure?
Star Wars. I was prepping for pew pews and stormtroopers.
I want my
Yeah, you got-
lightsaber.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna have a lightsaber.
You can still have a lightsaber.
I mean, I do have one.
Just cast light, then use a saber.
Yeah, exactly.
There we go.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about some minor spoilers. If you want to go in completely blind, go to episode 1. But honestly, everything here is something that you're going to be able to use at the table, hopefully. So what this session is going to be about, we're going to summarize basically like everything we're going to talk about. We're going to summarize the way the game is going to work for us. We're going to talk about a bunch of things like our tone, our content, our house rules. Shout out to our artist Kiyoshuki, who did this amazing art that you saw on the pre-roll. Shout out to Michael, our graphics guy, who did all of these frames. And I have to say one thing real quick before we go into it. These overlay frames you're looking at right now, these are the temp holding ones for session 0. These are not the actual ones. He's done such an amazing job with those. It's gonna blow your mind. The one thing I do want to point out though is the Dork Tales dice at the bottom corner is on fire.
It's so good. It looks so good.
So I'm pretty pleased about that.
No, you
All
figured
right.
it out. It's great.
Surprising.
Netherdeep could have had like
I-
inky things.
I know.
In it.
Mage season 2 is gonna have something pretty cool.
Ooh.
Yeah, Mike's already designed
You're welcome
the season.
for the suggestion.
Yeah. Okay, so folks, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna do a round robin to introduce. Well, sorry, we're gonna do a round table to introduce ourselves. Sorry, Robin. To introduce ourselves and tell you who
As
we are.
I say every time, I know I've put on a bit of weight, but man,
COVID has been
I'm
rough
working
on
on it.
everyone. Okay.
I have to say it every time you say round robin. Sorry, it's the
All
law.
right. All right, so we're gonna jump into this. 30 to 60 seconds. Let's do it. So hi everybody, I'm Kelly. Like I said, he and him, I'm the dungeon master here. Been a fan of Dragonlance since I was about 10. I'm an American who has escaped to Canada and has been living here for the past years. I'm a former professor of creative writing who became a Twitch streamer and YouTuber thanks to a minor pandemic making me lose my job. And briefly was hired as a professional LARPer at a lighthouse, but that fell through because of the pandemic too, which I'm really sad about. They took my measurements. I was gonna be Willem Dafoe. It was gonna be great. So that's me. Excited to be here, and I can't wait to share this adventure with you. Christine, why don't you go next?
Hello, I'm Christine. I use she, her pronouns. I am Lady Liliana on Twitch as well as several different social medias, so have fun finding those. Yeah, otherwise, I don't know. I'm a history major and secretarial admin.
Nice.
So,
And you're a huge dork,
yeah.
right?
oh, yeah. Totally.
Nice.
And
you'll be
still trying to
streaming-
develop the voice for this character, so not quite there yet.
It'll come before next session.
But yes,
all
and I also do stream myself on my Twitch channel. So
nice. All right, let's pass over to Chris. Hey, Chris.
Hello, I'm Chris. I use he, him, or they pronouns. I'm super excited for this. Dragonlance was like one of those first series that I was just like, yes, when I was younger. It was something that opened up my book to Weisers and Hickman, some of their other writing as well, which I enjoyed, and bonded with one of my grandparents over. So I actually inherited his all of his collection when he passed on. He had so many. So this setting is like awesome. I love it. I have a lot of fond memories of it, even outside of the books. And I've been gaming for, D&D well over 25 years or more. I think I'm actually one of the many people in our normal friend circle, or one of the few people in our friend circle who didn't get introduced to RPGs from Kelly. A lot of the people that we've LARPed with and stuff got introduced to it by Kelly. And super excited to be here and with this group of people too. Like the chat has like that we've had while planning it has just been absolutely lit. Like it's been amazing just talking about everything, and I can't wait to see how this goes. And otherwise, yeah, I got to stop now. I'll just keep going. So I'm happy to be here. Oh, yeah.
You've been gushing about this nonstop since the module was announced. So you were the first person I wanted in the game. Yeah. Did you have one last thing?
Oh, I was going to say who I was playing, but realized
we'll get to that in a minute. We'll get to that in a minute. All right,
it.
let's pass down to Robin.
Hello, I'm Robin, or second gen gamer in the chat. I am I guess I can't really say new addition to Dork Tales. I've been with you guys for like almost 3 years now, so it's been I'm not the newbie, but my dad my dad grew up playing AD&D, so he showed me during high school his character sheets, and I was gonna make a character sheet and play it, but it never happened. But I've always wanted to play D&D, and the pandemic hit, and I was introduced through friends to Dork Tales and started playing, and then I basically didn't ever want to leave, and I forced myself in and was like, let me play games with you guys. I like the clicky clacky mathy rocks. and I am a huge fantasy nerd. I didn't read Dragonlance growing up, but Kelly lent me the first book, Autumn of Twilight. Yep, I totally had to just double check the thing. And I instantly fell in love with a certain Kender. And I then begged Kelly to let me in this game because I was like, this is great. But yeah, super excited to be in this game, and I'm a huge dork, and super excited to be part of this campaign. I can't wait to see what you twist with this.
Yep. It's good. It's going to be fantastic to have you. And I have lots of questions that I will probably levy you in the middle of game about different vintages of wine and ale and things, because you're a professional vinter and brewmaster in real life, right? So.
Yeah, my my real life job is a professional booze maker. It's
nice.
true.
Yeah, and you know way more about it than I do. Speaking of, you're talking about Kender, so let's go to the next troublemaker on the list. Hey, Cal, welcome to an actual Dork Tales game, my bud.
Uh-oh. What have I done?
It's not what you have.
Yeah, I'm the newbie now.
One of us.
You fool.
Well, newbie in the sense that I'm new to Dork Tales, but boy, did I feel old when Robin was like, my dad used to play D&D, AD&D, and I'm like, that's how he learns.
Yep.
Dungeons. Yep. But to be fair, they were decade-old books when I got my hands on them.
Yeah, so. I was gonna say my dad played in high school when his mother thought that he was gonna like learn Satanism or something, because she's an extremely Christian woman, and
he did.
Him and his exactly, it's true.
Just
and now look,
it's true.
Now you're playing the devil's game.
Exactly.
But yeah, it was one of those things. Looking back now, I'm like, wow, I can say I've actually been DMing more than playing for like 2 decades now. And it was one of those things where, oh, I want to play a game. Oh, I don't have any of the books. Oh, I've just got these old books.
Yeah.
I guess I need to run a game at 15 years old myself. Is anybody else in that?
No, man. I didn't. I grew up in the middle of Missouri. Like my first role-playing book was a copy of volume 2 of Encyclopedia Magica for second ed, and I didn't know how to read it. I remember looking at like 1d6, 2d6, and being like, why is there algebra?
Math?
Why is there I don't understand this, because there was no context, right? They don't put a key at the beginning of those books because they assume that if you have that book, you're going to look it up, that you already know it, right? No, Dragonlance was my D&D for the longest time. But
speaking of too young to play the the devil's game, I was too young to read all of these, and it was kind of like one ear and out the other. So like all the books blend for me over the course of like 12 to like 15 when I read them. And so when Kelly, you were like, oh no, remember blah blah blah, and like they're refugees, and I'm like, oh that's at the end of the right, yep. And they get captured, and then the Draconic. Yep.
No spoilers for the books either.
It's been fun.
Nice. And Cal, where can we find you normally? Because you are a podcaster.
Yeah, normally I do podcasts about very serious things like 90s
wars.
Cartoons.
Beast Wars.
Yeah, Beasties in Canada. So if you like Transformers, go to YouTube and check, or any streaming service, and check out Lasercomb podcast. Laser, nice. Like I'm a fire in my laser.
Yeah, it's spelled weird. All right, and finally, last but not least, the oldest member of my personal adventuring party, who has been playing games with me for, I don't want to say because that makes us, it's for a couple of years at least. Hi, Jen.
Hi. Hi, I'm Jen. Use she, her pronouns. It's been a while. And while I knew about D&D 3.5 at that point, and gaming before you, you were the one who really dragged me into it. So thank you for that. but mostly I play World of Darkness, and you can find me as Achille Daniels in the chat, and in other such games like Victorian Era Mage or Breaking Tradition, or in the future potentially the Zero Sum, Technocracy Zero Sum.
The one that you're going to run if we get one more patron on patreon.com/dorktales.
Yeah,
But we'll talk about that at the end of the stream.
Yeah, very close. But yeah, no, as for Dragonlance, I honestly, it is the type of book that I definitely can see my younger self reading, but I have no recollection of it. So I might I might not have, because I grew up in a small town with you know how there's the saying that Canada is like 10 years behind the US in like getting trends and stuff like that. My town was about 10 years behind Canada. So in the early 2000s, you could probably say it was like the 80s.
Nice.
In terms of finding media and anything like that. So I don't know if I just didn't know they existed, or if I knew they existed and devoured them. I don't have any copies though. So
did you read a lot of Dragon Riders of Pern? Because my library was full of those.
Yes.
Again, I
That's
don't
what
recall.
I grew up on.
Yeah. So anyway,
I read a lot of
nerds.
Tamora Pierce.
Oh yeah,
I read a lot of Tamora
Yes.
Pierce, and some other things. But I read, yep. Yeah. Nice. In any case, since I did want to join this campaign, and I really thank you and everyone for making it so that I can, because this is basically my only free night of the week. That worked.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. But I wanted to play this game. I really love. Well, I started reading or listening to the audiobooks, and just absolutely, I've devoured like 3 or 4 books now. And have absorbed all of the lore. So I have reasons for why my character is the way they are. Because
it's funny how this series does that to you.
It does.
Any good fantasy saga will do that. So why don't we talk about our characters? Let's go in reverse order. So Jen, you're just talking about characters. So what I'd love you to do is describe, don't spoil any of your characters' big secrets, but tell us who you're playing and a little bit about them.
Okay. So I'm gonna do something a little fun, because I haven't yet tried out my potential accent in front of people.
All
so we're gonna see how this goes. But hello, my name is Hazeal Nightgranite. Huh. I keep wanting to say Nightingale, but Hazeal Nightgranite. I'm a mountain dwarf from the city of Torbaden, and yeah, that's pretty much that. I'm a lunar sorcerer. So my moon is Lunitari, and or at least that's where I am right now. We'll see what happens.
Always have that black robe on standby.
Right.
So for those who don't know the Dragonlance cosmology, the planet has 3 moons, a white moon, a red moon, and a black moon, which represent good, neutrality, and evil respectively, or basically defense, neutral magic, and offensive magic can also be kind of read in there.
Ambition.
And ambition, cunning, guile. And it definitely did not affect our homebrew world of Elos here, because we had 3 moons and then I blew one up. Because I'm like, it's not Dragonlance if I blow it up. Actual thought behind it. Cool. That's going to be really good. Jen, I really like the idea of seeing a character who maybe didn't even have any knowledge of the moon, because a mountain dwarf living in a mountain.
I actually did see in the chat that somebody mentioned that they were surprised to see a dwarf with magic because of the Grey Gem races and a whole bunch of dragon lore stuff. And there are, I just wanted to say, there are dwarves that do have magic, but most of the time they just are themselves in the mountain and all of that. And I didn't want to be that, because how could I travel with these wonderful people if that was me? So
well, and like, if Jen picks something for a character and there's a lore reason, like, you're a professional librarian and researcher, you're gonna find the examples and rules. It's always great. Because I was like,
so
did
pedantic
dwarves
with
do
you.
that? And you're just like, give me a bullet list of why I was wrong. And I'm like, okay.
I'm sorry.
It was okay.
I
It was
literally
okay. It was
said
done.
once, I was like, I don't mean to be pedantic, but this.
It's so long as you lead in with that. And
Yeah.
it was me skimming the module the first day I got it. And I'm like, oh, balls. Because the module, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but the module changed quite a few things about the way that the tests of high sorcery work. Because in the original novel, you go to the tower and you take your test and you probably die, or maybe you succeed and you get a cool makeover, with glowing skin and hourglass eyes. And you got into the world. But in this one, you start at the tower. So you visited the tower at level 1 usually, and your test does not have to take place at the tower. That's all I will say.
Cool.
They try to go back to the southern continent as little as possible, because it's this is really set in the northern continent where most of the story has never taken place before. It's kind of interesting. Cool. But I'm super excited about her. What feat did you end up taking? Because in Dragonlance, you get a free feat at level 1.
Yeah, but I have to take, because of the way I did it, because my background is mage of high sorcery, I have to take the initiate of high sorcery
nice,
feat,
and that gives you a bunch of like extra spells and things like that, right?
Yeah, it gave me a couple of extra spells based on the moon that I chose. So yeah.
Nice. All right. So Cal, why don't you tell us about your character?
Oh, right. Yeah. I liked the spelling. I was like messing around with names in Final Fantasy and typical elven names. And I'm like, ooh, I'm going to combine this and this. And I was like, it looks like Aurontiros. And but it can also be like Aurontiros. And I'm like, both of those sound kind of cool, but I'm just going to go with Auron for now. Auron. And it started off as a ranger, and then kind of talked, and then kind of got my costume together. And then I'm like, you know what? Also, it's me. Like, I'm going to be talky. Not talk over people, but I'm going to be... I gotta play a character at least as charismatic as me, right?
So who is this 10.
Guy? He's got pointy ears. He's a little bit shorter than most people, and he's from Qualinesti.
Okay, which is like that's like what, like West Coast elf.
Yeah. It's best coast elf.
It's like the Berkeley elves, like, liberal West Coast. It's, what, they're the elves from like the Dragonlance version of Get Out. Like they're like the family from Get. I would have voted for Lord Soth twice.
Well, that's the East Coast elves.
I thought Sylvanesti was more, anyway. But fair.
Sylvanesti are like the really isolationalist ones.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
And Qualinesti are like we want to interact with the other races and trade with them. And
nice.
I mean, they're still elves, but. Still
getting the weird looks from everybody. And so you went with a bard. What's your instrument? Which instruments did you take?
I get 3 instruments, and as funny as it would be, it's really impractical to walk around with like what was it?
You want the guitar so you could do the Rodel
No, we
Dorado.
really wanted you to have the cello.
Well,
yeah, we wanted you to have the cello.
I wanted you to have the grand piano.
Grand piano, standing cello, and like 200-pound like drum kit.
Timpanis. You wanted to play the timpanis, yeah. Ooh, yeah. Timpanis.
Just play the sledge. Play the sledgehammer.
A one hand band. One hand band.
That's for the Dork Tales OnlyFans.
Right. He plays the spoons better. And he snaps. That's just 2 blades of brass.
You got 2 spoons.
I'm just picturing your character as that dude on TikTok who goes around behind his mom with the trombone and narrates her life.
I know exactly.
Oh God.
Yeah. I'm not going to be that annoying because I need to gauge like the relationship, particularly with the dwarf and the kender in here, right? And then like find that middle ground, right? Because one of us has to be cantankerous, one of us has to be way too silly. I wonder who that's going to be. And then like somewhere there's got to be middle ground, and we don't have a half elf.
This is true. I tried.
So-
Nobody bit.
I know.
So, quick question. In Dragonlance, everybody gets a feat at first level because it's a very rough module. I have expanded the list beyond what they did. So you got a feat that not everybody had access to. You took, what was it? Observant?
I took... we didn't write it down when we did the thing, but it's observant.
It's observant. I'm pretty sure that's which one it's called. Your character is, I actually really like your character. I think he's going to be a lot of fun. He is definitely going to be some levity into this, but also has the capacity to be a very deep character. Observant.
I'll try. Yeah. Like, I'm still figuring out we'll get into it, but the character's like voice, and everything I've come up with has sounded villainous.
I think you just need to put a little more you know who in it.
But like, what era of Keanu are we?
I don't think he's back. I don't think I'm back. I don't think I'm back yet. I think you need to go.
Not quite turn of the millennium.
No, you need to put some Sweet November in there.
Ooh,
yeah,
that's hard. That's nuanced, Keanu.
That's a deep. I'm a Keanu mega fan. So
does anybody else want to hear the villainous voices? I
want to hear the villainous voice real quick.
Yeah, right. I want to hear the villain voices. Come on.
Okay, so I've been like combing through a lot of my favorite different voices, and I accidentally fell on something a little like Orochimaru from Naruto, and I was like, well, that's a little bit too British and too evil. So if I make it a little bit deeper and I make it a little bit less British, maybe it sounds a little bit elven. I mean, I can be short and I can be skinny, but it doesn't mean I have to be evil.
Yeah, that's a good voice.
Sounds
Can you be
spelt.
green? Can you be
Is that it? Just lowering it?
I think that's pretty good because it's got some rasp to it. Like it's got a little bit of texture.
Yeah, is it too
spelt.
textury to be an elf though?
No. You're a bard. You're a bard. I think it's great because that way you can have like
it honestly sounds like at least one audiobook narrator voices Tanis, like a little like it's very similar.
I think I know quite what you speak. Interesting.
It sounds like your voice box and your like throat is made out of velvet.
Yeah,
it's lovely.
Do some.
I will listen to you
ASMR.
talk in that voice all night.
Too bad I
long as
don't
you
do my
think you can-
podcast with this voice. My podcast is like, hey guys, today we're talking about Transformers. This one's a cheetah.
All right. Speaking of a cheetah, a thief and a cheetah. Hey, Robin, tell me about your Kender.
Excuse me. I don't thief. I find things. I'm a finder. I'm a very good finder.
I suppose it depends on whether or not it was already on somebody when you found it.
You got to read the feat that I wrote for her because it's got super shade in it.
Oh, there's so much.
I don't know
shade
if
in
I was
It's
allowed to read it, but I
fantastic.
did.
You can read
And
it. I
I
don't
enjoy
care.
it.
Yeah. But yes, I am playing Rizira Moonbrush, who is a Kender. And I went, oh, so basic bitch with Kender Rogue because
You got it.
you got to. Also, I've been wanting to play for Rogue for a while, so this will be exciting to do a little bit of roguing. But Rizira is I'm looking forward to playing a kind of that wonder, that childlike innocent of wanting just to adventure and make friends along the way, and kind of she's just grown up. She was a shopkeep with her traveling salesman father who took her around everywhere, and that's how she started to see the world, and she kind of got a taste for that. But she is the roguiest rogue you will ever rogue, and I am super excited. I think we talked about voices a little bit, and just a tiny bit of a little tiny bit of an Irish inflection on her, so she's just a bit high and kind of getting that uppity voice without going, because I've realized I have Nell and Fadia who are also high-pitched voice, which were counterpoints from Ivy down there. So I was like, I'm swinging ways again. So
your character in a game that's coming out in March, April needs to have a low voice.
Oh yeah. I'm planning a low voice for that one.
Because I know that
it's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Matter of time. So Rizira, or pardon me, Rizira.
Yeah, no, I realized I've been saying Rizira in my head, but then I looked at my character sheet. I'm like, oh, I put only one eye in there, or two eyes.
Only one eye. She's a Cyclops. So everybody gets a free feat at character creation, but when we were looking at this, we've been planning to run Dragonlance since Dragonlance was in Unearthed Arcana. And the Unearthed Arcana Kender, and in case you aren't sure what a Kender is kind of like a halfling in Dragonlance. They're actually a gnome subtype, but they look and act very much like halflings do in D&D 5e's kind of standard, like kind of like they're Lightfoots. But they are creatures that are immune to fear. They simply do not have the emotion. And they also are unconscious kleptomaniacs. And like they will steal anything that's not nailed down and not realize that they're doing it. They just pick things up and put them in their pockets. And that was one of the things that was in the original Kender build for Unearthed Arcana, and they took it out for this one because I think a lot of people didn't like it. However, I loved it. I thought it was fantastic, and it's a great way to incentivize plot development. So what we did was we looked at the feats that were available for a level 1 character, and one of them was skilled. So what we did is we gutted that, kind of made it a version of skilled / expert, and added this thing back into it. So you now have, I'm not sure what we're calling it. It's either light-handed or borrower. I'm not sure which one's better.
I kind of like light-handed.
Light-handed?
Because it is, yeah, because it's I think it can take away that maybe slightly, like if I was just reading a comment in the chat about maybe Wizards of the Coast took it away, or that finding was very hard to go to kleptomania, which is an actual mental disorder. So I find light-handed also stays away from that kind of thing. And I also just think it sounds very like, yeah, you're just light-handed. It's just
fair.
It was also not always a great thing to play with sometimes, because some people would use it as a, like, I'm going to be that asshole player to everyone else, and you're doing something cool. Well, I'm going to steal your stuff because I'm a Kender and that's what I do. And I do like the way that the feat from like looking at it and when we were talking about it, the design, because it's just so much more like, in my mind, like lighthearted and like kind of like just, it's just like, oh hey, I have this, and it's like, I don't know where I got it, but I have no control over it, so it's not something that's actively that kind of
it's not actively malicious.
And I'm not gonna play the type of character that's gonna like steal from the party and
we're grown-ups,
just also just steal at really bad times. Like for me, it's gonna be either like, it'll be a plot thing that Kelly decides that something my character has this in their hand. It's like, oops, how to get there kind of thing when needed. But I'm not going to just constantly be going and stealing everything, because that's not fun. And that's not fun to watch, not fun for the other players. I'm really trying to play the lighthearted, fun kind of aspect to that I really love from Tass when I was reading the book, because it's just like, he's great and I love him.
Yeah, I think the feat in your character are going to have the wonder about it, and that's I like that a lot.
Kender,
she grew up on the road and she wants to continue to like fill out the map in her head, kind of thing. Like that's basically that, like wanting to just travel and see everything.
Hey Jen, you have more work to do. Eric just joined the Patreon.
Yeah.
So thanks for that, Eric and Norse Foundry. So 2 things real quick. Number 1, if you're watching, at the end of the episode, we're going to have a draw for a lovely set of metal Norse Foundry dice, including a boulder, a big chonker, like they're like golf ball size, 24 millimeter D20s. Do not roll them on glass tables. I mean, do if you want to. It's your life. If you like your glass table, I would not recommend it.
If you would like to demolition your glass table.
Yeah. If you don't need your glass table anymore, go for it.
That'd be interesting to watch.
Yeah.
Do we want that
Uh,
open from the beginning to sign up?
Yeah, let's
for
go ahead. So
giveaway?
at this point, if you if you're watching on Twitch live right now, go ahead and do you have a keyword picked out, Christine?
Yes, !Norse. NORSE. And type that in the chat, and that will enter you into the giveaway. I believe we are doing where you have to be here when we pull it at the end.
Yes.
In order to actually receive it, because we will need a little information from you.
And there is a caveat about this. The dice can be won in the physical form to anyone who lives inside of the United States because of shipping requirements and shipping expenses. If you live outside of the United States, though, you can still win a gift certificate. So they are providing a gift certificate to anybody who lives outside of the United States. And Eric, is that continental United States or is that all United States? Please let me know in the chat. But you will be getting a gift card otherwise, which still pretty cool. And best part about this, Norse Foundry, who have been great supporters of the channel. I don't have my Norse Foundry dice out right now because my dice are put away. Have provided us some wonderful dice to roll with that betrayed me horribly in the favor of the players last night.
They were so nice to us last night.
They were so nice. They're very nice
says all.
players. All perfect. So that was a wonderful thing. They're a great company that do a lot of fantastic games of their own. So go find them on Twitch as well and shop for them for the holidays. You can use code DorkTales10 to save 10% off any order you have, and that will work with the gift card, I think, or the gift certificate if you win that. But the best part is
I want so many of their dice on there.
I want all of their
they have
gemstones.
so many.
But the last thing is that we're going to be giving away a set of dice for episodes 1 and 2 as well. And I think, was it 1, 2, and 3 or just 1 and 2? Do we have it 4 times or 5?
It's 5. It's 5 times, I think.
So yeah, so
we've
1, 2,
done
and
1.
3. So during our break on episodes 1, 2, and 3, we will be giving away more of them from Norse Foundry. So definitely come and watch, and hopefully you win some dice. And then, now that that's taken care of, I wanted to say, so the feat that Rizira has is light-handed. You gain proficiency in sleight of hand. You also gain expertise in this skill, which means that your proficiency bonus is doubled. Okay, this is pretty standard through some of the feats that exist in the book. However, instead of taking a +1 to an ability score, she has this benefit. You also have a habit of finding useful objects that have found their way into your possession through no fault of your own. As an action, you can search your pockets or a similar container you're carrying and pull out a random object from the table below. This object leaves your possession after 1 hour, though you may find it again with future rolls. You can use this ability a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus and regain all expended uses on a long rest. Kender should beware. Many of these items have owners who tend to become strangely belligerent when someone finds their lost items. And it is a D20 list that expands to a D100 list I am curating right now. The D20 list is... Robin, do you want to roll a D20 or a D100 just for an example?
I would love to roll a D100 because I was reading some of those, and I really hope at some point during the game, which number is it?
So I gotta thank my the Discord, the Dork Tales Discord provided 150 examples that I'm still weeding through because some of them are real good.
Yeah. I am gonna roll my North Foundry D100.
Okay.
That is Jesus. I rolled 100. I rolled 100.
See, this is how good these dice are. You should definitely enter.
Well,
so
that's the last time that's gonna happen.
So that you will find in your pocket a treasure map that may or may not be from this area or lead to actual treasure. So it's basically an automatic trinket table. A cookie cutter that you can't tell what it is. A book with the title Dragons Gone Wild, full of blank pages. An invitation to a party dated 500 years in the future, a fully used ticket to the Witchlight Carnival, 13 of Spades playing card, a compass that points east, a box of burned matches, a prosthetic leg. These are things that you can pull out of a backpack. So this is going to be great. And because Soul Omen in the chat, one of our demonic producers, rolled an 8 on the basic table, that would be a spool of yarn or a package of chalk, and on the advanced table is a jar of pickled ochre. I don't even know what that is.
Delicious.
It's one of those things I've heard of so many times, but have never looked up. I don't know what it is.
It's what they used to like. It's like a thing that they use in like Louisiana to. It's in gumbo.
Mm-hmm.
That's okra.
I love how many people are enjoying
Oh,
Dragons
pickled
Gone Wild.
okra is like something that they used to use for makeup. I thought.
Weird. Why is it pickled then? I don't know. I'm going to be
I
going
don't
through
know.
this.
It
I'm going to
might
be
be a
going through this.
spelling thing because the
Yeah,
sound
it might be.
is the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah.
I really want you to
Yeah.
at some point roll a 28 on the expanded.
Which one is the 28?
Oh,
Is it
God.
is it what I think it is?
It's
I'm
a
pulling
music
up the
box
thing.
that plays music that only dwarves can hear.
Oh my god.
So anyway, it's going to be a really fun thing.
That's a good
We're going
one.
to have
See,
fun with
I
this.
want to roll the one that is the the DM's underwear. Just pull out.
DM's
It goes like,
underwear.
yep.
All
37. I'm gonna pray for 37.
All right. A joke book in the languages where none of the jokes translate well, which is great. That's
That's
good.
fantastic.
It's
Nice.
a dad joke book.
It's a dad joke book. Speaking of dad jokes, let's go ahead and say hi, Chris. Tell us about your character, soon to be
Hi.
Papa.
Soon, March 8th. Here it comes. I'm super excited for that.
That's very soon.
I know, it's so soon. Not prepared, but we'll do what we can. Right,
You'll be
sorry.
fine.
I'm just thinking about that, and that's probably like one of the few things that derails me right now. Right, I'm playing Godfrey Highvalor. I was trying to think of the cheesiest name that I could. A knight of... we were having a discussion about this earlier, how to pronounce it, and now I don't remember.
Salami.
So
Knight of
quick
Salami.
Salami. A quick disclaimer, we've read these books, Jen's listened to the audiobooks, but most of us, we've got that thing where we've read it in our heads. So like, you don't even want to know what some of the elves are named in my head from when I was 10. Like, it's just ridiculous. So hopefully we'll hit it right. But if it's not your pronunciation headcanon, we apologize. So
All
from
right.
Salamia, where you can have a knight as a treat.
Sounds good. Knight of Salamnia, or Salamnia.
So we're gonna use Salamnia.
Salamnia. All right, cool. Or at least a squire of Salamnia. I'm taking the Knight of Salamnia background for him, and I wanted to play like Dragonlance. As soon as Kelly mentioned it to me, I thought of like that old kind of like 80s classic high fantasy, and like one of the first things that popped into my mind right away was the music video for Dio's Holy Diver. And I was just like, that just feels Dragonlance to me. And I was like, I wanted to play a character who kind of looks like that, right? And so
You
that was
thought
kind of
it was Dragonlance, but it was me, Dio.
all along. So that kind of was a little bit of an inspiration. I wanted to play a somewhat more serious character, but not like meh. But because if you've been watching any of our other things like Call of the Netherdeep, I kind of have gone off the deep end a little bit there. I think that's a nice way to put it.
Yeah.
And gone into the deep. But so I want to play a character who like it tries as much as he can to like live the honorable life and whatnot, but didn't necessarily want to originally, and is kind of like living up to more familial expectations, and does a good job of it, but heart maybe not 100% there, but still.
Interesting. So our characters are kind of opposite, because mine's running from responsibility, and yours, you're being forced into it.
I was actually kind of thinking, because this is a good way to segue into the next character. I think that direction. I don't know which way I'm facing, but thinking of having a bit of a shared background with Christine's character, and we talked about it a little bit, and I was thinking that like afterwards, whatever the ramifications were of us knowing each other, I was thinking that maybe that was the kind of thing where like a little bit of his spirit was broken, and it was just like, well, okay, may as well do this, like kind of thing. And like, all right, fine, I'll just live up to the family's expectations and do that. And I mean, he does kind of believe it. I mean, he was raised in that situation, but I don't know if his heart is fully there, and that could change. That could absolutely change in either direction. Like it might be something that he grows into rather than like growing out of, or maybe he finds a way to reconcile that, or maybe just becomes an incredibly jaded fuck. But
in advanced Dungeons and Dragons, we call that an anti-paladin.
Well, I hope he doesn't go that far, but
Breaker paladin, maybe.
we'll see what happens. I'll be playing the Battlemaster fighter for this. I look forward to once getting that subclass, trying out a whole bunch of those maneuvers on top of the Knight of Solamnia feats, which will be fantastic, especially if our friendly neighborhood rogue Kender is in sneak attack ability of somebody else, and it's just like attack.
Well, and when I get the swashbuckling feat, I think it's at 6th level or 3rd level. For
3rd
the
level, you get
is the one where you don't have to have an ally within 5 feet. A creature just has to be within 5 feet for a sneak attack.
Nice.
They're so good. And speaking of good things, let's pass over to our last character. Christine, tell us a little bit about Kelara.
Okay, so Kelara is a human. She is a life domain cleric of Mishakal. So she is going to be our healer. And I am very much focusing on being a squishy white mage RPG type of healer. Yep. So sweet, a little innocent, naive, maybe a little bit kind of like aware of the world, but tries to okay, so I describe this as Jane Bennett from Pride and Prejudice, thinking the best of everybody sort of thing. So that sort of sweetness, ability to maybe like stick up for herself, but
yeah, they're youngish.
Yeah. I'm going for around 18-ish.
So they're like going out and seeing the
so
sweet
peasant
summer
girl
child
too.
Yeah, I like that.
Which for my initial feat, because I'm taking variant human, I get the Dragonlance feat as well as the human one. So I'm taking tough because otherwise I'm squishy as fuck.
Yep.
And chef. So I'm going to have been an inn cook, and I will be able to kill you guys if you eat my food. So
nice. It's a fantastic feat, by the way. Like, really vastly underrated.
I just realized that all of us are super like we're all naive in our own ways and not familiar with the world, and it's going to be fantastic to watch us figure out the world.
Well, that's the thing is I already kind of played that with Win a little bit, like a little bit more the foolish side of things, and this character is much more balanced in her abilities. She's not got minuses in really anything.
Are we allowed to share our backgrounds? I completely forgot about mentioning mine.
Totally. As soon as Christine's done, go ahead.
I went with folk hero, so
yep.
So
healer,
so
helper.
I'm going for very much the strictly healer, not very combat-y at all.
Which is the exact opposite of your normal.
Yeah, very opposite my normal. So we're working on, and I think this will probably come up in like one of the first episodes, but we were going to work on allowing me to do stuff like help actions very narratively so that I can describe something a lot. Like I trip the dude with a fry pan between the knees and he falls down, and that's why my friend gets advantage, but they're not prone. So they're not actually having any of those sort of qualities applied to it, strictly narrative at that point.
Yeah, or example, like you are trying to give disadvantage to a guy who's attacking Godfrey, so you smash a vase over his head. He's wearing a helmet, but it's distracting, right? Like it's
exactly.
It's not gonna...
So I'm not doing damage, and there's nothing above the help action benefit. But narratively, it's more fun than feeling kind of useless and just going, I help sort of thing. So trying to give some flavor to actually doing that style of class.
And you absolutely should, because the cinematics
I don't have a voice
really
yet,
important.
But I'm working on it. I'm going to try for lighter, a bit, not quite as cultured as Claudette, but that sort of voice a bit more, that slightly lighter and softer and just kind of sweet and nice and maybe a little shy and hesitant. Just a little.
Nice.
So they're Miss Small Town USA. They're a folk hero.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, yeah. I mean, she comes from a little place. She actually came from near Volgar.
And what's everybody else's background? Chris, you took Godfrey's the knight background, right?
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
I wanted to go all into that. Like Jen immediately was like Tower of High Sorcery, I think, and Robin was like Kender, and I was like, yes, I get to play the knight, which I was like, because like that was, like I said, as soon as you said Dragonlance, I just thought about that music video, and I was like, I gotta. It's like cheesy 80s high fantasy. Let's do it.
Robin, what'd you take for your background?
So I went with the criminal background because, and in the thing, it specifically states it does not have to mean you're like evil and malfeasant. So yeah, I'm sure throughout Rizira's travel, she came across a few organizations, which I've definitely researched and sent to Kelly, but won't say anything quite yet. But her skills at just happen to find things for people is quite useful to some people. So I think she
Hey Rizira, I locked my keys in my house. Can you help me get in?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. What can I do for you?
Oh,
is that house over there?
Yeah, also this mean man took my horse. Can you get it back for me?
Oh yeah, of course. No worries.
Oh, you're so nice. Here, have a couple of gold for your trouble.
Oh, thank you.
Steel.
That's really nice.
Or tin.
Whatever.
I don't know. The economy is weird in Dragonlance, and you're gonna get used to it. And then what'd you take? What'd you take, Cal?
We ended up going with Far Traveler because of our starting location and where Qualinesti is.
Is way down there.
Yeah, so when Chris had mentioned that we're all a little bit naive,
yeah,
all elves until they reach like, I don't know, 100, like they mature more slowly. So I guess in that sense, he's naive. But with Far Traveler, I don't know. I'm gonna have to try to role play somebody that's like wise but not intelligent, kind of naive.
Just read a bunch of like Zen cones, memorize them.
So Far Traveler, just because I'm traveling from literally one side of the continent to the other.
Well, and also the benefit of that is that it's got its bonus is that you stand out like a sore thumb. And I was already going to do that because you're an elf.
For that. Yeah.
I was like, oh, you might as well take that benefit because otherwise it was going to be a disadvantage.
You stand out for better or worse.
Right. And then Jen, you're taking the high sorcery background, right?
Yeah. Which, and because of the background stuff we were talking about, like I will have also traveled a great long way between my personal starting location and the starting location of the module. Because Thurbarton is a ways.
So let's talk about languages and party dynamic, first of all. So first of all, what languages, because language is a very big thing in Dragonlance, like different locations have them. It's not just like, I speak human, I speak dwarf. That does exist, but there are a lot of languages that kind of go beyond the bounds of just local community.
Can I just say, we have a little bit of an agenda, and I definitely thought languages meant like how much we're gonna swear in this campaign.
Language.
No, you didn't.
That would be language. This
did
has
you actually
plural.
think that?
Yeah,
Yes, I did. I was like, I didn't read the S. I just heard language and party dynamic, and I'm like, okay.
I'll add that to step 7. So language. Mind your fucking language. Okay. Yeah.
Maybe that's how we should put that in future. Like languages and mind your fucking language.
Yeah. Okay. So taking a glance through here, I do think that the book's characterization section is a little garbled. Where the hell is the language portion? So what languages does everybody have? We'll start with that. So
I have not written down anything because I was like, I don't freaking well know what's in Dragonlance.
Fair.
I have no idea.
So,
I have Kender speaking Common and Thieves Can't.
So, here are the languages that are available. I am going to pass this over to you. Go ahead, try and don't read any spoilers. Hop down to language. So, the standard languages are Common, Abyssinian, Dwarvish, Elven, Urgot, Gnomish, Kenderspeak, Karolian, Kur, Nordmarian, and Solamnic. There are also some rare languages like Draconic, Goblin, Ogre, Sylvan, Primordial, etc. You'd have to really sweet talk me to get me to agree to those, unless your backstory really allowed for it. But everybody starts with Common, and then you get a number of languages based on your background, of course. Jen starts with Common and Dwarvish. Robin, you start with Common +1. That does not have to be Kender speak, according to the Kender write-up. So what is everybody thinking of taking? So you guys are in an area that is at the very north of the world. And the languages there are Solamnic is very big, as is...
Well, we're technically in Solamnia, right? To start?
It's like right on the edge. You're definitely going to be in... Let me just pull up my interactive map and take a peek. Okay, so...
Was it in Eastwild, or is it like...
It's in Estwild. Which... Estwild, most of them speak... I mean, I guess Estwild is probably influenced by Solamnia, right? Estwild, a mostly tribal human nation that covers a narrow region stretching from Kalaman Bay to the absolute northern reaches. So it's right on the edge there. So... yeah, I guess it's so you're in the hinterland, and the hinterland mostly speaks Solamnic, if I'm not mistaken, or Common, which is the trade language. So I mean that works pretty well. I would strongly suggest that everybody have at least Common together. But Common does exist. Many people have access to that. So what's everybody thinking of taking? So how many languages, Christine, how many languages do you have total?
Well, where am I finding all this? Because I would just use the PHP.
So Folk Hero, I just posted a link in our ping chat.
I'm pretty sure Folk Hero doesn't get an extra. Humans just get Common and one other.
Okay, yeah. So they do not get another language for Folk Hero. So Common plus one more. You could do Common and Solamnic. That probably fits best for your background.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
Sounds good. How many do you get, Chris?
I'm going to take Common, Solamnic, and then I got two others.
Oh, damn.
Knight of Solamnia gives, or Squire of Solamnia background gives you two. So I was going to take Urgot. I was looking at the wiki and trying to figure out which ones were most common for Solamnia. So I was going to take, originally I was going to take Urgot and Narakis, but because Narakis is literally right there, but that wasn't an option. So the next one up, common one was Dwarven, which I was like, why is Narakis not an option? That just seems like they're so particular about all these other ones, but the place that's like the closest to like where we are, like outside of the starting area, I was like, that's weird.
Yeah. But, I'm looking at the enemies right now, and Narakis appears to be either just common or they use like Infernal for a lot of those characters, which doesn't make sense for any of you to have.
Well, yeah, because I think Narakis, like the reason why I asked about Draconic in the chat was because I know Narakis was derived from the Draconic. So in the lore, it was like I think it was like originally written in Draconic script and then kind of taken there. So I was like, oh, I don't know if they're doing anything with the languages. But nope, the next would have been Dwarven as the most common. So Solamnic, Common, Urgot, and Dwarven was what I was thinking.
That sounds great to me.
I literally just tried to go with whatever was most common in the area according to the Wikia online.
Nice, that works for me. What about you, Razzie? Oh my god, there's like 4 raids in a row.
Yeah, I know.
Riz.
Riz. She probably will go by Riz for the campaign. Because that's just easier to say. But I like having Kender speak. It may not come up much, but I do think for my character it would fit that she would speak Common and Kender speak. Probably to use in other towns as well, just to talk with her dad when they were traveling young. To be able to just speak a language that maybe not everyone knows. So I think it's fit. So I'm gonna go with Kender speak and Common, and then I get Thieves' Cant for being rogue.
It's true. Cal, what about you? Far Traveler grants you so you've got Common, Elven, and 1 additional language for Far Traveler.
That's right. Guess when we establish who Aurontiros was traveling with.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to wait for a minute?
Maybe, because it's like, well, if he likes traveling, he likes telling tales, maybe it's just whatever language is most common, or it could also just be how much time he spent around the dwarf or the Kender, right?
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, Solamnia is kind of that nation cut right through the middle, probably spent most of his time traveling through there.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I'll give it a think, but probably Solamnic. But I'm like open to Dwarven or like even Kender speak. The elf kind of having some, like, there's no equivalent of it. I can't really think of what it would be like, but I could see the elf learning Kender speak and them like exchanging secret messages that are actually just like little petty arguments.
Hello to another raid.
Whoa.
Hello. Good to see you there. Quick notice. Welcome if you're joining us. All of you who just raided us, you're all amazing people. Thank you to all of you, to the Onyx Path, to Plastic Age Blades, Guild Superior, Lost Caravan. I think I'm missing somebody. But we are running a promotion right now where our good friends at Norse Foundry are giving away some dice. So if you stick around till the end of stream and hit !Norse, you can enter to win a set of metal dice if you're in if you're in the United States, or a gift certificate if you live outside. So you can get dice at a discount. You can even use our code DorkTales10 to save money when you buy them if you don't live in the States. So yeah, do it. Yeah, why not, right? Okay, and Jen, you have Dwarven and Common, right?
And then I get 2 more for my background.
So what are you thinking?
So I was thinking Elven, because I was thinking that my mentor was an elf, and then because of Colinesti and everything right there, and the tower and all of that stuff, Elven made a lot of sense. And then I was going to try and argue for, even though it's not in the book, for magic as a language, because that's actually a language in the books, and it does have a spoken and written component.
I'll give you that as a freebie.
Okay, cool. Then I have no idea what my last one is.
Oh, it's sort of the background for...
I would assume that it's part of the feat or the background, right? So it just, if it comes up in the module, you'll have it. Unless it's something super complex. So that means you get 1 more. So what do you want?
Cool. Then I have no idea, and I can't search I can't find the languages in the link you sent. So
you have Common. Oh, you got to scroll down a little bit.
No, I know.
Just
I can't find
giant trees.
It's not working.
Let's see. You have Common, Dwarvish, Elvish.
Yeah.
Solamnic could be good if you want to talk to knights. We have a lot of people that have that.
I was thinking maybe something a little odd, or
maybe Draconic secretly, maybe, huh?
I would I would be willing to allow Draconic for the mage, because if you've got the language of magic, it's pretty close. At least thematically it always is. Other things,
and they'd be like learning the language of the enemy, because this is taking place between the first and second books.
We don't really know much about dragons being back yet, right?
And,
So
okay.
One of the books I read takes place immediately after Autumn Twilight, when the dwarves find out what the fuck is happening, and I left before that.
So you could also look at Istarian, which is like an ancient language of the people who caused the cataclysm. You could do Kothian to talk to Minotaurs. I don't know if that'll ever come up. Oh, actually,
I like maybe Istarian. I like Istarian.
Sure, go ahead. Take Istarian. It's more flavor probably than anything, but it might come up. And Narrakese is in the book, Chris.
Oh,
it's under rare languages.
Okay.
So if you want to take Narrakese as one of your languages, you may.
Sure. Yeah, I just figured, since it was like literally right there, it just like struck me as like, that is just so odd that wasn't in the common ones for the area.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure if it was an oversight or if I thought it was sus. I was like,
No sus.
This is sus.
It's
yeah, you know what? I'll trade out Dwarven for that. Sorry, Jen.
That's fine.
All right. So party dynamic, we kind of have that going. How does the party know each other? So the way that I see this right now, the module has a couple of things that it requires of you. Your characters need to eventually meet up. You are all being brought together at a funeral for a good friend of yours named Ispin Greenshield. This is a former Solamic knight who has done lots of adventuring and eventually retired in the small town of Vogler. And in the small town of Vogler, he has become something of like, everybody's uncle, and recently has passed away through natural causes. You have been invited to his funeral to pay respects, at which is being held at the same time as a festival in the area. We'll find more out about, but basically it's like a LARP event. Which I'm digging the hell out of this, guys. I really am. It's literally like a Civil War reenactment that you show up at and then have a funeral.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Well, it's common knowledge, so like I don't see why. I don't think it's a spoiler. So with that, I think it's best that we first figure out how you all know Ispin. Okay. Now, the book does give you some options for how you were connected to Ispin in the beginning. And I think that we should look into that. Each one of you could have had an encounter with him. He adventured until very recently, like even into his, like, they don't really say his age, but I'm assuming like 60s or 70s. Like, think like Sean Connery, like going around, or Pierce Brosnan, or Hugh Grant now. I'm kind of down with him being a little Hugh Granty. So some suggestions for this are a Prelator.
Oh, I think I remember you showed me that, and I think I figured out what it was potentially for mine, but then I didn't write it down, so it's completely gone out of my mind.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to read them all aloud, and if you don't have one that jumps out at you, you can roll to see which one you get. Now, there's some of them are pretty easy that I'm going to suggest for people. Christine, did you have a specific one that you were interested in? Because your character's more localized.
I don't think so.
I'll go through them. So, Ispin was a close friend of one of your parents. You've known him since you were a child. That feels like Kelara.
Okay.
Okay. You don't have to, but I'm just going to suggest what I know from your backstories. Alternatively, you and Ispin defended a community from a notorious band of goblin raiders. Number 3, Ispin tracked you down to return something precious that a thief stole. Number 4, Ispin visited your homeland, bringing with him goods and stories from far-off lands. He taught you much about the world. Hey, Cal. Ispin seduced you out of your home.
That fits perfectly. Especially if this guy's been like a lifelong adventurer. Yeah. Like he's gone to Qualinesti.
Yeah. Number 5, Ispin spent a season with your family and taught you swordplay, sailing, a language, or another skill. So he was a knight of Salamia. So I think that could be good for Godfrey. Godfrey also could have squired for him.
Yeah, I was thinking something like that if that was possible.
Totally. And then the last one is my favorite, but I'm not sure who it would work for. Maybe that says something about either Ispen or Hazeal. You and Ispen once competed for the same person's affections, only to discover each other's friendship in the end. I love that so much. You know what? Bros before hoes.
I love that.
Oh my.
It's so dumb. So, does anybody have any idea of what they want to do? So, Cal, you're doing you want to do the whole Lego. He came through Kalin SD, and with him.
What was the wording of that again? It was
whatever you want it to be.
He brought gifts
brought
and
goods and stories, and you ran away with him afterwards, or you ran away shortly after.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe it's what set you off on the adventures with the stories of other places.
Yeah.
I
like the thief one, but I don't think he was returning something. Something to me. I think he tracked me down after I found something of his.
Fair. That sounds great. Jen or Christine or Godfrey, or Chris, not Godfrey. Either of the
Godfrey Highvalor.
Either the Chris's in the top row or Jen. Do any of those sound interesting to you?
I really like the idea of squiring under him for a bit.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah. I think the one where he knew parents and used to stop by probably would work best.
So spent a season with your family and taught you swordplay, sailing, or another skill, or was a close friend of your parents and you've known him since you were a child. Also, you grew up in Vogler and
just outside, I think. We were going to say a small town, not the actual big one.
Yeah, like one of the little settlements outside of it. But he settled in it. So he's in your backyard.
Mm-hmm.
Did he teach you how to cook?
I like that.
I don't think that's not where I was going with that.
Okay.
Would you allow him to have passed on a recipe that he acquired in the Southlands for spiced potatoes?
Do you boil them?
You mash them. You
mash them?
French fries.
Stick them in a stew?
So what are you thinking then?
What?
Just so that's...
I'd already said.
I thought you were going on more. Sorry. Okay.
No, I'm like, whatever you want from me.
What do you want from me?
I'm like, what's going on? I've already said which one I'd do.
I like him. I like him teaching her how to cook and her finding her love of healing through her cooking.
No, it's already in my backstory. You don't get to change that on me.
Oh, I don't get to change it? Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
No. All right. So Jen, do you want to have one of these?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them don't really work because no one entered Thurbarden for 300 years. So
yeah, he's not that old.
Yeah, but it could be tweaked to say, like, if the time I spent with my mentor, or like something like that, where it's more connected with that instead. Because I don't really see the others necessarily.
That makes sense.
You could potentially the protecting a community. So maybe you have left, and you could have potentially met him at a goblin thing. Mabobber fighting and didn't have to be your community.
Met him at a goblin thingamabobler.
The thing is that because Hazeal is with Lunatari, like, she's striving for balance, so it's not like she's gonna necessarily do good necessarily, right? It's the balance of the thing.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm not a knight who's trying to defend a homeland or whatever, and she's also really struggling with the balance thing. So we'll see how that goes. But
yeah, there's a lot to explore there.
I mean, it could be something as simple as your mentor and he were good friends, and your mentor sent you on this and sent you a missive saying, "I can't leave.
True.
You go pay my respects for me."
Yeah, that could work.
Right?
I like that.
Yeah, that's good.
And maybe you did bump into him on the road once on your way there, and like there were goblins and there was a fight where you know, there's something like that or whatever. You can have that.
Or he visited at some point, visited my mentor when I was there or something. You know,
I think the important thing is for each of you just to, in the back of your brain, come up with like a little story that might come up that you could share at the funeral.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to say it right now, but just like anything's canon. It's what is, so long as it doesn't change the fact that he was a boisterous adventurer, you know, you can be multi-layered. Okay, so that's fantastic. So we know that Kelara and Godfrey, you're from this area anyway, and we talked that your characters might know each other before this, probably through a mutual connection. So I think that's really good. But what about the bottom three? So I feel like there's a connection between either all three of you or two of you, with Cal being the focus.
Yeah, we were talking about Cal and me having a connection because the Tower of Wayrith is in Qualinesti. And whether it's, you know, while I was heading there, because I think part of my backstory is that, like, I know that the tower exists, and then when I realize I have magic, it's like, oh, you know, I gotta go. I've got to go here, or I'm gonna be in a lot of trouble. Something evil dwarven mages, something. But so whether, you know, I got lost on the way there or met up with him on when I was leaving or something like that. There's definitely the ability for a connection there.
Okay.
What I was thinking, I'm just throwing this out there. Helping them get to where they were going. I'm not sure whether he knew where she was going or not. Never having met a dwarf before, ever. And being like, what? You live underground? When there are all these
anymore.
Trees? Why not? Right? And like just being like completely like what is it? Culture like struck. And but maybe not on their like way back. And wait, no, you haven't done the trial yet, so your character hasn't.
Yeah, she has been to there for her
you have
initial
been there.
Induction.
What if his like exodus? Because I know that Robin wanted Kender was going to be the kind of chaotic what's it called, a chemical reaction, the catalyst to just getting out of there, because like the way that elves are depicted, they'll hum and haw, maybe in another 10 years I'll run away from home, and then 10 years goes by and then they're like, oh man, I'll do that tomorrow, and then another decade goes by.
It's the classic, like, I need to do something at the half hour. It's 8:31. Well, gotta wait till 9, kind of thing, right?
Might I suggest something?
Yeah.
Isman met Rizira, and Rizira tagged along like bed bugs in luggage into Qualinesti.
Yes.
There we go.
Yes.
And you know what? You were coming down. It sounds like Riz would be like trading or finding things or getting stories or whatever.
Yeah.
They kind of just have wanderlust. Kender, they kind of just, I've never been into the Elflands before.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And then go down, and then Jen has
and hearing you him and Ha just like being like, no, you gotta come, you can't just.
Well, that's the worst for a Kender, because the Kender, there's no bad choice. You just need to keep moving.
Exactly.
And then as the two of you were like heading out, we run into me, who's also like heading out, because my mentor basically went, I don't know how to teach a sorcerer, get out into the real world and go.
Yeah, so both of you met first then. And then came into Qualinesti.
I think,
maybe, but
well, the Forest of Wayrith is right next to Qualinesti. I think it is funny in the end, though, that Jen, being the balance character between an elf and a Kender, is also a fulcrum between order and chaos, right?
Yeah, that's true. So much. That's great.
So you three know each other at the start of the adventure is the important part. I'll let you work out the intricate details prior to session, so you three can just talk.
Cool.
So something else, Dragonlance is particularly going to be probably brutal. The module seems like it is. There's a lot of war. There's so much war that a board game has been made to supplement this. We're not doing that board game probably on stream unless we find a way to film it just right, because board games are hard to film. But what they have offered is sidekicks. So sidekicks being the mechanical, like, half NPC character that would tag along with you through things and would get into trouble alongside of you. Now they have 6 of them they provided in the book. Ondir Valmakos, who is a white robe magic user. Ayek who is an archer, a human. Hrig Roundrook, who is a hill dwarf healer and a cleric of Kiri Jolith. Iriad, who's a Kaganesti elf spy scout expert type. Levna Drakehorn, who's a Solemnic knight. Temtemble, who is a Kender healer druid type character. So these are the 6 characters they have. I wanted to know whether or not you thought that we should include one. My initial pitch is that Levna Drakehorn should be there at the start of the game so that we have 6 people. She is very basic. She's just a knight. She can easily get written out of the plot if she's extraneous. You know, it's definitely one of those moments where, oh no, bad things are happening. Go on, I'll hold the fort till reinforcements get here. You must go. I'm a knight. You're just a squire. Go, type of thing, right?
Yeah.
Or gets a missive message, you know, oh, we need you back here.
Yeah. So she's got responsibilities.
And it's easy to add in to Chris and Christine to, you know, make their group 3 who know each other in the beginning as well.
Yeah. We could add more. I don't see a reason to. Temtemble is a great character to add, but we already have a Kender. Hrig Roundrook.
How much Kender is too much Kender, though?
2.
1.
2 Kenders is one Kender is 2. Thank you. That's actually correct.
People often
as a dwarf, 1 Kender is too much Kender.
So the archer,
like,
the archer seems interesting. The white robe mage, it's like a second mage, and I don't want to step on Jen's toes with another mage because that's your special thing, right? The same with having the healer. Like, we already have one person who's getting magical powers in the module for healing, having another one who's
pretty
like
big deal.
For those who don't know Dragonlance, the gods have been away for about 300 years. So there's been no divine magic, basically, like no commonly shared.
I want to ask, like, is it like how have they done that, if you can do that without spoilers?
I can tell you right now, Christine is gaining her class levels 10 minutes into the first session.
I am not a cleric yet at the very beginning of the game.
So that is a minor spoiler,
but I'm not yet.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
That's good.
Sorry, I love that wonder, like that Cal was talking about it in our chat, like the wonder that like of magic and healing magic, and like just like what.
So
what wizardry is this?
Yeah.
Out of all of the other characters,
like dragons are myth, and like healing doesn't exist. Like feels core fantasy, so that when somebody heals something, it's not like, just go down to the church down the street and they'll take pity on you and bring your friend back to life.
Well, exactly, right? It seems like with a good life insurance policy in a fantasy world, you'd never die.
Well, that's the usual problem I have with those high fantasy settings. But in this, if you heal someone in front of a group of people, like, it feels like there would be huge reactions from people, like people being afraid, people wanting to hand you over, people wanting to like revere you, like that you can go all sorts of ways with it, because if you remember from the preludes, Raceland almost got burned at the stake at least once.
Yep.
At least
at least
wait
once.
until you see one of my cantrips. My last ditch, oh god, you're too close to me, is going to be Word of Radiance, where it just, you speak a word and it explodes out of you for 5 feet.
Like, that's a great. Kyle has that in Strixhaven.
It's like
Fadia has it too, and I
damage
have not
if you
used
don't
it yet.
save.
I'm excited. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll add Levna to the party. Later on, if we need another one, Iriad can be folded in. As probably Ayakur could probably be folded in. I don't want to use the white robe as much as I love his art so much. I really want him in the game
really
for the art.
Cool.
He looks like really Cheaty from The Good Place.
Yes.
And I just want Cheaty in the damn game.
Yes.
Well, I was going to ask you.
You are unusually ripped for a mage.
Like, do they have them all like within? Like, are these people like people that we would come across like sooner or later, or are they just if they're there? Like,
so it's assumed that they're going to be your sidekicks. But
gotcha.
hey, I'm a writer. I'll just fold them in. If I manage to run Call of the Netherdeep, Chapter 5 and 4, and I can do this.
Yeah, then that's the thing where it's like I like having sidekicks might be great for boosting our party in a per game that's been said to be tough on the players. But also, like, you have to deal with Netherdeep where you're running 5 NPCs, and that's just hell for you. And I would just want to make your life a little bit easier already.
Well, that's why I was like, one or two's fine.
Yeah.
One or two's fine.
Well, and like, at least since it's sidekicks, which means they're NPCs that are favorable to us, I mean, we can always do it where we run their stat block during the fight, so Kelly doesn't have to.
That's what I was going to for any
Kelly
scene
maybe
where
voices them.
Mm-hmm.
But
if you ever, for example, in Call of the Netherdeep, if you ever team up with the rivals again, I'm not running them. You're getting their stats. Nice. You can do it. I'm too busy.
Fair.
But yeah, so cool. So we'll start with Levna, and if any of the others show up later, they show up later. I don't want to step on your toes though, because I don't want to take the Kender, I don't want to take the Dwarf, I don't want to take the Mage, I don't want to take the Special Elf. Like, everybody has their own unique thing.
Oh, there's a
I need to respond to something quick.
Yeah,
I need to respond to something quickly. So Cal, I think it was you who were saying, you're unusually ripped for a mage, right? With reference to the cheaty thing. Yeah. That's also my thing because I'm a dwarf with a strength of 16.
You're like, I do push-ups with books on my back.
And
like,
I rolled
I ran out of the
well on my stats.
I ran out of fireballs. Looks like we're gonna do this like we did back in the old
Jen
days.
And I
I'm gonna cast Warhammer.
Yeah, Jen and I talked about how like both Keiko and Hazeal are very similar in the fact of how they should be, but how they've actually been statted out is kind of hilarious.
All right.
So I don't have any.
My other cleric.
Yeah, I don't have any issue with another Knight of Solamnia in there. I mean, the more of us, the merrier. I need more tanks.
And it also makes
the three
sense
of you
because
would
you're
be
a
going.
squire, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
And that you're going to see your old master, like maybe her and you served under. Served under him.
I figure it was some sort of an internship or something.
An internship. You didn't get paid. All right. Yep. So let's head on to the last part of this. So we're gonna talk about a couple of things. We're gonna talk about we're gonna quickly go through tone, themes, and content, and then we're gonna talk about our house rules and the way that things work on Dork Tales if you are watching for the first time. And then it's gonna be last things. So first off, this is a game that's gonna have war. And what is it good for? It's highly entertaining for an audience. Absolutely. So as far as film rating, I'm saying this is probably going to be like somewhere between like, I don't know, Willow and Rambo. I don't know. Like it's going to be like pretty standard. I don't think it's going to be a huge thing we have to worry about. Language, use whatever language you think is right for the character. I always find that curse words are more impactful if they're used rarely, right? But we are a mature channel, so there is no restriction on language. Themes, there's going to be war and struggle in this. With that, there is also going to be content like violence and the horrors of war, and potentially there might be implied torture. I haven't read the module every single word of it, but there will be war. With that, there also, despite there being war, we're going to be playing the type of fantasy warfare where there is no sexualized victimization as a side effect of war. This is not Game of Thrones. Okay, so we don't even have to worry about that. That's not even on the table. Okay, that being said, your characters are adults, and if your characters want to have any type of romance, I'm totally up for romance being in games. We do a fade to black if anything gets hot and heavy. Nobody wants to sit here and relive that episode of Community with, you know, Hector the Well Endowed. But with
he
that,
just wanted to have a good game with his dad. Come on.
Now with that, does anybody have any lines or veils they want to bring to the table? So lines and veils are things that you would not like to see in play, things that do not sit well with you. In the past, for horror games, we've had things like nothing with your eyeballs, nothing with fingernails, no bugs inside of you. Yeah, right. So even saying it makes Chris twitch.
No, I was trying not to think of the eyeball thing.
No tiny spiders is one. Big spiders are fine. Tiny spiders are not. And does anybody have anything else they feel comfortable sharing? If not, you can send me a private message.
My big one would be no overt cruelty to animals. Like overt. Okay. Like a little bit is kind of to demonstrate how awful somebody is, but as long as it's not dwelled on, because like I adore my animals, and that is definitely, there's been times in other past games like Werewolf where you've told me, okay, this is the point where Christine takes her headphones off because I don't want to bawl on camera, especially since our totem was based off of my dog.
It's true. In this, I think it would be the equivalent of guy kicks dog and either gets bit by dog later or dog is fine, but that proved the guy was a jerk.
No, exactly. But it's the sort of thing where it's like really dragging out the pathos, where then it's like,
I could see there being like horses, like cavalry.
So is what like hunting or like, horses involved in war?
Just as long as it's not like described.
I think she means domestic animals primarily, but like horses. I know Robin has a big thing with horses as well. So probably I won't go into graphic detail. I won't use flowery language to imply how the horses explode into confetti. You know, like I'm not gonna. You know.
Oh, see, that is not as bad.
Like, ads wreck me every time they come on. I turn them off the instant that song starts because I can't do that.
See, more like people being cruel to horses. Like if horses get exploded, it's not the best thing, but like talking about like, oh yeah, the whip bites into their flesh and you can see like the blood trickling down their haunches, or the bit is sharp and digging into their mouth kind of thing. Like I don't like that.
This is
like, actually
that
really
of game.
No, exactly. But like for example, that's a thing. Like what movie? There's a movie. Is it? It's not Lord of the Rings where there's a bloody
Black Beauty
or something.
War Horse.
Oh God, War Horse wrecks me so bad.
So, but like that would be something like for a Victorian era mage game, right? Where it'd be like, this is a super mature game. We're all on board for this. So yeah, nobody has to worry about anything like that. Does anybody have anything else they want to bring up? I have a feeling some people might get burned alive.
Okay.
What? Why? Why do you think that?
Because lances.
Oh, right. The lances spew fire. Right.
Don't linger on it too hard, because I've had to read those very lingering descriptions in history, and they're gross.
They're gross. Cool.
I don't know
kids.
Okay. Oh yeah, no kids. No.
Yeah.
Kids are the kid always lives. The dog always lives. There we go.
Bethesda games.
Yeah, well, I mean, like one of us is about to have a kid. Like that kind of makes sense that like, you know, maybe some paternal instincts are welling up, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. Like we have a lot of players who have kids and a lot of viewers that have kids that have that as a request. They don't want to see it. And honestly, it's boring. Like unless you're doing it for a very specific reason in a very specific way, it's not fun.
It's tying a damsel on a railroad levels of
Yeah.
Oh no, you took out a 5-year-old. They had so
That's
much...
how evil I am.
It doesn't make you a better DM. It just makes you a lazier writer. Usually there are caveats. You're gonna say like, I don't know, Gladiator or something, which cool. Okay, let's talk about house rules. So house rules for our games, we tend not to use too many of them when we are doing the module games. We use house rules like crazy in our homebrew, but we try to keep this vanilla-ish swirl, maybe some cookies and cream, for all of you watching and are trying to get a sense of the module. So house rules and DM caveat, we lean into the rule of cool. If something sounds really cool and is more cinematic, I'm more likely to allow it, so long as it does not entirely break the rules. I will make mistakes in the rules. There are a lot of rules, and there are a lot of persnickety rules, and there are a lot of situations where those rules don't make sense the way that they're written. That's just the way that a game is. A game is a static concept, and this is a living game experience. However, we'll try to do the rules the best we can. That said, if you want to surf on the back of a dragon and it's really dope, I'll allow it, because that's really dope, and I think that's pretty great. Besides that, inspiration, occasionally on special occasions and when I'm feeling super happy, I will grant you a point of inspiration. Inspiration is basically a second D20. It allows you to take advantage on a roll. You may spend your inspiration before or after a roll, so long as I haven't told you if you succeed. Inspiration is very rarely given and cannot be bought by the chat. But what can be bought by the chat is some specific things. So if you're watching live on Twitch, you may purchase things with channel points. These are non-financially tied. You get them by watching the channel. We get no money from them. But to affect the game, you can buy things called Hurt Them Mores, which allow me to have advantage on rolls, to take extra attacks. It allows me to cheat in minor ways. I love these. Buy as many of them as you can. It makes the game more exciting for the players.
And when you do, just be aware, they go into a pool. We watch for them, and we let Kelly know how many he has, and he uses them as he needs to. Yep. It's not instantly, it happens now. It's at his discretion. 5e
is a really easy game compared to a lot of other role-playing games, and having the ability to basically legitimately terrorize your players occasionally is very pleasant.
Buy it.
Yeah, the players love it. So they like it, trust me. However, if you want to help them, there are these little tokens that you can buy for them called determination tokens. What a determination token is by spending that, before I tell you if you succeed your roll or not, you grit your teeth, you pull a Spider-Man, you do it for Aunt May, and you add your proficiency bonus again. If you already have it, cool, you get it twice. That includes expertise. You can spend it to get a super expertise.
Yes, I have expertise in like 3 things.
A player may only have 1 determination token on at a time, but can immediately refresh once it has been spent. There are a limited number of these that can be bought. There are also 2 other things that can be purchased with your channel points. They are Something Good Happens, a very amorphous thing where I may just spend it to have something nice happen. The character finds a love letter. The character hits an enemy, and technically they had 2 hit points left, but maybe they stubbed their toe on the way into battle. I'd rather not keep them up for 1 more round with 2 hit points, right? So I can use it to make something good happen. I can use it to give advantage on rolls. I can do things that are just going to make the game more easy or good for the players. And then finally, drama bombs still exist. I will make everything in the situation worse for everyone in whatever way feels like
worse,
it would be
worse, or just more.
How about better
dramatic
for the audience?
Yeah,
because
not necessarily worse.
So besides that, there are a couple of house rules that we do have in game that I want to run past you. There are 3 actually that I want to get everybody's approval on. The first one is my rule on nat 20s and nat 1s. So a natural 20 is an automatic hit on an attack roll. I go rules as written. It is not an automatic skill success. You can't roll a nat 20 with a -10 to your persuasion and get the king to give you his crown. It just doesn't work that way. You can do very well, but it is not an automatic success on a skill check. Okay? It's still a 20, which is pretty damn good. I also allow critical hits and botches, which is not a core mechanic in 5e really. I do botches. And botches can be things like you get an opportunity attack taken on you, you drop your weapon, you take some damage from your own thing. So that's a nat 1. Okay. I allow them on saving throws. Which means that you get badass anime moments where a fireball detonates in your face and you roll a nat 20 on your save. You're not harmed by the fireball. Congrats. Or maybe you roll a nat 1 and you just took 80 points of fire damage instead of 40. It's an all or nothing though. So if you want the saving throws to affect or to be affected by nat 20s and nat 1s, you gotta say yes or no. I'm really down for this. Last night's Call of the Netherdeep had some amazing situations because of that. Basically a character rolled a nat 1 on a slow save, or a save versus slow, and was just taken out of a fight. It was great. But are you guys cool with this rule?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's great. I think it's very much it's two-sided coin. It's great when you dodge and completely not take any damage on a super high powered spell that you would normally take half damage, but then it also really sucks when you
I'd prefer not to be one hit killed with it, but
yeah. It's really hard to get one hit killed in D&D, thankfully. But speaking of getting killed, then the second rule I want to talk about is my death save memories. So the way that this works is twofold, actually. Number one, I request that if you are in death saves, I roll your dice for you. You do not have to agree to this if this makes you uncomfortable or anxious, because some people just don't do well with that. What it means is I roll and then I tell you if you die. Because it raises the anxiety level for you and the party. If you don't want to do this, I request that you roll and keep it secret from the rest of the party, because you never know when someone's going to bleed out. No matter what, the rest of the party doesn't know, even if I don't roll for you. Okay? I would prefer to roll for you, because I hate it. I hate it. It gives me anxiety, but I think that's fun. But the other thing is that when you are playing a character who is in death saving throws, and Cal, you've played very little 5e, when you're dropped to 0 hit points, you enter death saves, you roll a d20 on a 10 plus, you get a tick in the live column. On a 9 or below, you get a tick in the death column. When you get 3 of one of them, that happens. So you bleed out or you stabilize. If you roll a nat 20, you immediately come back up. If you roll a nat 1, we'll say you take 2 failed death saves. We'll say you take 2. You don't get an auto death. So
I like that. Okay.
So that's the standard.
Are there any modifiers to? Sorry, go ahead.
So there are no modifiers to that roll, but it is really boring when you are in death saves, because you watch the entire combat go by and you can't do anything. So I have an alternate rule that I put in, which is when you're in death saves, should you choose to, you do not have to if you don't want to come up with a story, I will ask you, why are you fighting for your life? What are you living for? And you tell me a little story, a couple sentences, 30 seconds at most, usually, of what memory is worth living for, what goal is worth living for. If you do this, you roll flat. I roll flat for you. If it is particularly poignant or moving, you will get advantage on your death save. You'll roll 2 dice and take the better. If you do not, however, you will have disadvantage because you have nothing to live for.
I really like that.
Yeah.
That's the new one you've been trying in Netherdeep, isn't it?
And it goes really well. I like it. It completely.
You really confused me the first time you asked me that.
God, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, you never told me about that.
It's completely transformed Krista's character, actually.
Yeah.
Just being able to.
I thought it was something specific to Netherdeep that was causing that.
No, it's
I
just.
I thought we did a game before the boat. Was it really Netherdeep that was the first time?
I don't remember it happening otherwise.
I feel like
I think you may have started putting it into shards, but I don't remember it being discussed.
XLR, I think it was.
It was done in Dirge.
Yeah, because I think that's when I sent you the link where.
Yeah, because of the TikToker that did that.
Did have that.
Yeah, I forget where I got it originally. I polished it out a bit from the original idea.
Yeah,
it works.
Oh, I had
is that one
question.
2 failures in Raw? Okay, cool. I don't remember.
Yeah, it's 2 failures in Raw.
And then the final house rule that I want to put past you, and this is an optional one, is one that is used in several podcasts that we listen to, and is one that we can vote on. I've never used it in a game before, but this is war, and war is great. I find it really boring when I'm in a big combat and I get like 3 attacks, and then I'm like, I hit him, and I hit him, and I hit him, and it's like, cool, you drop him, and you just wasted all your attacks. You critted somebody, and then you stabbed him twice more because you couldn't redirect your attack. So what I'm basically saying is I want to instate overflow damage, which is if you're fighting 6 goblins and you do 10 hit points of damage to the first one, who only has 2 hit points, if you are in range of attacking the next one within 5 feet, you will keep going.
Caveat. You just do like a really good big sweep sort of thing.
Yep, exactly. The caveat is this also can happen to you. So if you get dropped by something, one of your allies might take a hit.
So it's kind of like
to not group up.
Greater Cleave.
It's
that's what I was thinking.
It's kind of like Cleave.
Literally, like NADPOD calls it Murph calls it the cleave rule. That's what he uses it for, and they cleave through it. Yeah,
I say yes.
Yeah, because
I like it because
it was a feat in 3.5 where you could do that. So
Cleave and then Greater Cleave, yeah.
Like if you're doing a great big swing or something, and you've only got 2 hit points of resistance to your 10-point swing, feels like it should keep going, right? It shouldn't just stop.
The caveat for this, of course, besides that anything that can happen to me can happen to you, is if your attack would not hit the next guy. So it's like, I roll a 14. Well, it's like, okay, well, you kill the goblin, but the next guy has an AC of 25. It's going to bounce off of him.
You clunk against his armor or whatever, right?
Yeah.
That's fair. Oh, so separate attack roll.
No, it's an auto hit, but if the original attack wouldn't have hit, then it just doesn't work.
Oh, I see. It uses the original.
Yeah. Gotcha. So, but if you're fighting a bunch of... It's a goon destroyer.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you say?
I like that.
I was just gonna go back to the death save thing.
Yeah, please.
I really like when you roll it, but I still, as a player, like for me, it's my anxiety. I know it's with ping we can't do the private messages, but I would like to maybe try and find a way to figure out if I pass or fail, because I know that's my worst feeling is not knowing how my character is doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I like
I can send you a PM through something else.
Oh yeah, and if we're doing combat and using the maps on Roll20, you can whisper to the DM.
Oh, that's true.
And whisper rolls to the DM, so you would know. Just don't tell the rest of us, and Kelly knows, and good to go.
Keep it secret.
Yeah, but I'm fine with Kelly. Safe. Yeah, I'm fine with Kelly. I like Kelly rolling it. Me personally, I would like to know for my anxiety how my character is doing.
I also like Kelly rolling
to do the magic rolls.
Yeah.
Well, see, I like Kelly rolling because there's a better chance that he'll fail.
Yeah, Christine is, for those new to the channel, Christine is really lucky, and I
just have some good dice sets that I put them away for a while, and I deliberately use dice sets actually that don't roll well for me or roll really randomly so that I can get that, because I have rolled very well historically. Robin is honestly like challenging me for that though.
Well, and Jen will too.
Depends on which games.
I either roll really well or really terribly. I bounce between Christine and Amy.
Not necessarily mage, but
the 2 extremes of Dork Tales.
Like Sassy was rolling a lot of nat 20s there for a while. It was feeling like every few combats you were doing it well. So
nice.
I haven't had that luck in a bit. Keiko has not killed anything in Netherdeep the entire campaign.
Unless you went as a tough bard.
Yeah, fair.
Nice.
Tough bard. Right. Oh, Kelly,
you
I had one question.
You did not min-max your stats properly.
Yes, Cal.
That kind of like all or nothing saves.
Mm-hmm.
Right, where the effect is doubled or whatnot. That applies to like NPC or enemy rolls too.
Oh yeah.
I think anything that makes combat more interesting than I hit him is plus. So yes to everything.
All right, that sounds good to me. I am very excited about this. So those are all of the house rules that we're using. If we add anything in later, we're going to be using the Fray engine from this book, which is kind of shows you how to do warfare in the field. I'm going to really dissect this thing mentally and see if it is all it can be. I've ran a few campaigns with high level warfare in the past, and there is a real trick between not getting bogged down by minutia and turning it into an actual war game, and still making it a gritty experience. So I will try to make sure this is the best it can be. The structure of the module and as we run it is going to be, we're going to run it every Wednesday, unless there's something we'll warn you about. And at the end of every chapter we go through, we will have one session immediately after that's dedicated on how we ran it, what we thought about it, things that we would have changed, and things that would be useful for you to listen to as someone running the module yourself. They've been pretty useful. I've gotten a lot of good feedback about that for the last 2 times we've done that, for Witchlight and for Netherdeep. And I don't see a reason to stop now, because a lot of times, and I remember when we were doing Candlekeep, I wish we had been doing it for that, because there were some stuff in Candlekeep where some of the modules, like the mini modules, had to be completely rewritten to make them work, because there were some glitches in them. The big modules have been much better. But
also, it gives us a night off where we can not be in costume, and we can have like more of a chill, relaxed session where it's like
shoot the shit and have you guys ask us questions.
Yeah, it's a nice little like insert of a
it's
a little break.
I really enjoy it because it's especially over COVID. It's like with things kind of getting worse, it's a great chance to actually see people you haven't seen too much of and talk with them. So I like it.
True. And also, if you want to ask us questions, the best way to do that is probably to join our Discord. So go ahead and join the Discord. If you're on Twitch, if you're on YouTube, whatever, the link is in the description. It's on our page. It's a great community. It's an 18+ community where we come and talk about role-playing games and post dank memes, and it's a lot of fun. So come hang out with us. It's good, and so long as you're cool, we're happy to have you, or as long as you're dorky, we're happy to have you. Besides that, does anybody have any final questions, final statements that they want to? Oh, hello, Nat19 official, good to see you there. We're just heading the end of our streamy team, but we'll hang out for a few minutes. Does anybody have anything they want to talk about regards to Dragonlance, Shadow of the Dragon Queen?
So excited.
I'm excited, even though I never really read the books. I've been trying to get through the first one. I just haven't had time where I felt like reading. But like the moment you start describing it as like an old-fashioned fantasy adventure sort of thing, I was immediately like, yes, David Eddings, Tamora Pierce, Mercedes Lackey, and McCaffrey. Like the good old-fashioned fantasy party.
Well, and that's the reason that I wanted the 5 of you, because out of so many people that we have in Dork Tales, a lot of them like to play like really complex, nuanced characters, right? But a lot of them don't like to play those type of characters who are also heroic characters, right? And this is a game that needs heroic characters.
Yeah, I need a hero.
Oh God, I'm trying to remember what
in the first
main
book,
character from David Eddings' fantasy series is. Garen. Something like Garen. Yeah. Like that initial book where he is the ignorant farm boy is really my vibe. Hard for Kalin.
I mean, you're Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, I think we all vibe. Yeah.
Luke Skywalker, Garen, all that sort of stuff. Belgarian, that's what it was. Thank you. But he's only known as Garion in the first book.
So like
several books, the whole first series, in fact, is at the end of that he finds out, I think.
I'm a little bit like I realized a little teeny bit, a little bit like from The Princess Bride. The name is blanking.
What, Wesley?
Wesley, thank you. I thought it was Wesley, and then I was like, that's wrong in my head. I was thinking of that Wesley, but I was like, is it Wesley, or was I just thinking too much Clone High? But I'm like, sweet farm boy that goes away and comes back slightly with pointy sticks and awesome. That might be Rizira.
Raise the roof.
Raise the roof. Oh, so good.
Wow, meeting other people that actually watched Clone High.
I just showed Robin Olive Clone High last week.
Yeah, it was great.
I'm discovering how many people read David Eddings. This is the first time I've met people who've read it. Whenever I've talked about it before, nobody knew it.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. It's
David Eddings.
Dragonlance is attracting all those types.
Though I gotta say, if anybody wants to read a fantasy series that is blunt and has no patience with like chivalric nonsense in knights and stuff like that, read David Eddings. What is it? The Sapphire, Rose, Ruby, something or other. Crystal Throne, I think, is the first. Diamond Throne is the first one. That series, the main knight is so sarcastic. He's amazing. It's great. I love it.
All right.
I think that works for all of us. Like I think we're all kind of looking for that. Instead of walking to a town and a half orc is the mayor and like, you know, like a ghost born is like the guild leader, and you know, it's this big mishmash of a world. Playing kind of a game that's Lord of the Rings and, well, Dragonlance defining, right? Where like when you walk into a town and you have a dwarf and you have a wizard and you have an elf, that's the first time any of those people have ever seen them, like, and a knight, any of them at all. And so I like that kind of like traveling around the world and everything being new and everything being scary, like era. Like where we're all hobbits now, where we're all hobbits and everything is dangerous and unknowable. If that makes sense, I'm just rambling.
No, it totally does. All right, so I think we are good to go. I think this has been a fantastic session 0. Does anybody else have anything they want to toss in?
Yes, that means we have to draw a giveaway.
It does. All right, so everybody, you have 1 minute from this point to type !Norse to win a set of metal dice from Norse Foundry.
All lowercase.
All lowercase.
Yes.
Also a Boulder D20. So we'll put 1 minute on the clock.
If you're in the US.
If you're in the US. Yeah, outside of the US.
If you're not in the US, you'll get a gift card.
Yeah. So everybody do that. Also, thank you to Nat19 for rating us. Also, hello, Hayden. I don't know if you're actually watching, but it's good. We miss you. We miss you, baby. But you're living the dream.
We miss you so much.
They're way too busy. So yeah, join our Discord, join everything. Also, congratulations, Jen. As earlier stated, Eric from Norse Foundry joined the Patreon, so that you now have to run Mage the Ascension, the Technocracy. And it also means that Robin has to start prepping to run the Radiant Citadel.
Oh no!
You forgot about that, because 10 more.
I forgot about that.
Nope, because in 10 more people.
Have work.
Yep.
Panic at the Citadel.
Yep,
I can't each buy that shirt, Kelly. I'm gonna go buy Redbubble and buy that shirt now. But wait, or not
it's not on Redbubble. It's on TeePublic.
It's on TeePublic.
We'll talk. Yep. I need to get a copy too. Got to get it in Heather. So yeah, that's gonna happen. So if you want to make more games happen on this channel, go to our Patreon, where we have stretch goals that, like, at 125 patrons, we're gonna run a once a month Radiant Citadel game, and then at 150, I don't know, man. Like, we'll do something else. At 500, I'll write a sequel to Witchlight. How's that? At 200, I'll do an ASMR as Tasselhoff or Raceland. I'll do it as Raceland. I already
do it as
Valis.
Valis is just my Raceland voice. All right, so it's time to draw for this right now. Christine, drum roll.
All right, here we're going.
Who wins?
Iron Warrior X. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Iron Warrior. Super nice person. Congratulations.
Please whisper me at Lady Liliana on Twitch with your email address and whether or not you are in the US. And we will add you to the pile to send off to Norse Foundry.
Now, folks, if you did not win a set of dice tonight, don't worry, because on Dragonlance sessions 1, 2, and 3, coming up the next 3 Wednesdays, we're going to have a draw during our break. That's normally around 8:30 to 9 o'clock or so Pacific Standard Time. PM, not AM. So yeah, come try again. And that would be fantastic to have you there and to help this new campaign go big. because it's gonna be awesome. I've been wanting to run Dragonlance since before I actually knew what I just had a memory. I just realized the first novel I ever tried to write was a Dragonlance story. I could see
a memory coming out of your head.
A like, core memory, something it was like being like dribbled out.
The first novel that I ever tried to write was a frickin' Dragonlance novel. And I printed it out on my dot matrix printer. You know, the one with the strips?
Yes.
Holy shit. There was a joke about a banana. I was trying to write humor. I was like 13. It was not funny. It wasn't lewd, but it was just not funny. Anyway, I'm obsessed with Dragonlance, or at least I was when I was a kid, and it's wonderful to be able to come back to the world of Krynn, which has influenced so much fantasy, from my games to people like Matthew Mercer. Just read through some of the critical lore backstory, and like Jen was, and she's like, a cataclysm, or shall we say a calamity? And it's so influential on our gaming culture. It's gonna be a hell of a lot of fun, and I hope you stick around for it. Right? I just realized that too. It's like, that's why I got the timeline wrong. I was like, it's only been 300 years, and you guys are like 800. Where'd you get 300? I'm like, a similar event.
Also, the dwarves have been away for 300 years. So.
The dwarves have been away for 300 years.
Yeah.
Those dwarves.
All right. So
are they even real?
I don't know. There's an elf on a shelf, though.
What?
Let's go around in a big circle, say a quick goodbye, say where you can find us, and who you've been. Let's start with Jen, and let's end with me. Jen.
Sure. Hi. I'm Jen. I'm Achille Daniels in the chat and on other social media and in the Discord. And I'm in there and keep getting summoned when Mage is mentioned, which is good because I'm going to apparently be running Technocracy sometime in the new year, and we should chat about that. So
we should.
Yeah, that's me.
Cal.
Hello. It's me, Cal. I don't stream or anything, but sometimes I do the podcasting. You can follow me on, I was going to say, I almost flubbed up Twitter. That's it. That's what it's called. If people still use that at NeoCal, NEO_KAL.
It's not just on fire.
It's not just on fire. Well, I think people are new people are coming because they want to be part of the fire. Like it's like a riot. Only like 5% of people are actually doing anything dangerous. Everyone else is just there eating popcorn.
The vast majority of it is just kind of chugging along as usual, ignoring the fire above them.
Oh yeah, they're just like, this is the third time Twitter's dead. Oh, whatever. Yeah.
So anyway, you can find you there at Lasercomb Productions as well for your podcasting.
Oh, if you really want to, you can follow Too Much Energon in proper. It's in all caps.
Don't go to Not Enough Energon, because that's a different podcast. He's not on that one.
Disgusting. Never. Disgusting. No. If Transformers are your thing, Too Much Energon. Look it up.
Do it. Especially because there's a new movie coming out for that. But that is Robin.
Hi, I'm Robin, and you can find me in the chat as Second Gen Gamer. Every once in a blue moon, I stream on my own channel doing Guild Wars and stuff, but I really don't think I'm going to be doing that anytime soon because I have to start prepping for Radiant Citadel, which I totally forgot that I have to cast. So, no. But yeah, I'm here on Dork Tales because this is so much fun. What?
It's your home.
What? It's my home. It is true.
It's your home.
Dork Tales is my home. But yeah, super looking forward to this. And just mild panic at the Citadel.
Chris.
Hello, Chris, and I can be found as Diggy Blogg in the chat and on the Discord. I often lurk in the memes because they're lit. The memes are lit. I can also be found sometimes on Dork Tales, and if you're lucky, you might catch a glimpse of me at Dork Tales. Really looking forward to this game with this group of people. It's so good to be. I've had so much fun gaming with Kelly, Robin, and Christine on Call of the Netherdeep, and like I'm really looking forward to gaming with Cal and Jen again. Like this is going to be fantastic, and I know it's going to be so much trouble. I just can't wait for that. I'm one of those players that really likes to hurt them more, so bring them on.
Nice. And finally, Christine.
I'm Christine. You can find me as Lady Liliana on Twitch, where I stream as well, mainly Guild Wars, but I also have a few new games that I'll be playing at some point when I have time. Otherwise, you can also find me on various social medias like Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok as Lady Liliana. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be great. I'm looking forward to playing a sweet character again and trying out a really non-combat heavy character. This will either be incredibly frustrating or make me be very creative. So we shall see. I'm looking forward to the costume and makeup, though. I'm gonna have to do that this weekend to see how it works.
That reminds me, Chris, I got to meet up with you sometime and pick up my black robes from you.
Black robes?
Sus.
Why would you need that?
So sus.
Kelly?
Yeah, why are you needing that, Kelly?
Because I'm Dalamar the Dark, and this is what my voice sounds like. In my head, at least. At least when I was 10.
Deal with it.
Dalamar, what do your eyes look like?
Dalamar? Nothing. I'll put, I'll get the goat contacts. All right. So, hey, folks, that is going to be it for us tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. A big thank you to everybody who makes this happen. All of you viewers on Twitch, all of you viewers on YouTube, all of you listeners on podcast when I eventually put this on the podcast. And a tremendous thank you to our patrons at patreon.com/dorktales. This is a full-time gig keeping this stream and this channel going. And we cannot do it without you. In particular, I have to do a shout out to the ones who give the most from the bottom of their hearts to keep the lights on here. Starting with Shulton the World Builder, thank you so much for being my royal producer. Thank you to my 2 divine producers, 2.5, DM Michael Gray, the Great and Powerful, and my mom, who just joined up in that tier, so I have to thank her at every episode. Thanks, Mommy, for being a divine producer, Mom. And also Bob, my stepdad, I guess. Thank you so much to, that's so embarrassing. I love it so much. It's so dorky, and she's never gonna watch this, but I'm a man of my word, so I gotta do it. To my demonic producers, Soul Omen and Precarious, thank you so much for being here. You can check Dork Tales people out every Friday night on Precarious's channel, twitch.tv/Brekarius, BREKARIUS, where you can see our graphic designer Michael and Trizelta, who actually has 2 legs in person, play on his channel. A big thank you as well to Tammy the Forever Cleric, who is amazing and wonderful and is our wizard of the Patreon. To the Traveler, Trizelta, Cubby Gummy, Amberthus, Buddy, and Darren, the original Dork... to Taryn, the original Dork Tales fangirl. Thank you so much for being the princess of the Patreon. And finally, once again, a huge thank you to Michael, who designed all of the graphics for this. And you have no idea. He's done so much cool work for like the maps and the regular overlays after we get out of session 0. You are going to absolutely love it. And also a big shout out to our artist Kiyoshuki, who you can find in the credits below, and you should go support them. They are an amazing artist and are very reasonable for personal commissions. For commercial commissions, they are still pretty damn reasonable, considering one of the fastest and best artists that I have ever had the pleasure of working with, and will say that to the day I stop streaming. So go check them out. Right? They...
Yeah. I barely had to like say anything to correct what we got.
You were like, can that part of the hammer be flatter? And that was it.
Yeah, I was like, no, it's perfect.
Oh yeah, no, totally. Yeah. I gave them like 3 different faces and said, okay, a little bit of that smirk, a little bit of that like eye look, and a little bit of like that angle, and they combined it into the perfect like shy look. And I was like, yeah, how?
Because she's great. She's great. But go check out Kiyoshuki. And with that, thank you so much for tuning in. We love you very much. And we hope you have a fantastic night. We will see you next Wednesday night for Dragonlance, Shadow, the Dragon Queen. Good night, everybody. Raceland.